Nashrox Entertainment, and I'm your host, Roxanne Rocks. Today I'm sitting down with Eddie Bauer Jr. with Eddie Bauer Jr. Entertainment. Hi, Eddie.
Hello, Roxanne.
Hi. I wanted to ask you, what is your current projects that you have going on right now?
I'm trying to think where to start. You know, the first one we have is a screenplay that I wrote about 9 months ago, Casa del Agua. And it means house by the water. And I came up with that name. I couldn't think what to call the thing, you know, because it was about an incident that happened in my beach house, and about halfway through it, I used the word Casa del Agua. That's the name of the beach house, and I said that's the name of the screenplay. Changed it to Casa del Agua, so that's how that name came about.
Okay.
And it was a story that I've had in my head for 5 years, and and I thought it'd be therapeutic and cool to look at myself from different characters' perspectives by writing a screenplay.
Okay.
And I never took a screenplay class or anything. In fact, my first order of business was I Googled, how do I write a screenplay? 9 months ago, and I didn't know how to use final draft, so I just handwrote it in a notebook. Eddie says this, someone says that, fade out, cut to, pan over,
Yeah.
I wrote it all out like that, and it really wasn't meant to see the light of day. It was really just kind of therapeutic and a test run. And a friend of mine seen it and said, you really ought to consider moving this forward. And
wow.
And I did a lot of praying and meditation about it because it was kind of personal. My blood and guts are on those pages, and finally, I decided that it was a story that was worthwhile. Maybe it was worthwhile telling. That maybe someone else needed to hear it, and so I got a friend of mine, Norman Fitz. I always like to mention him because he was huge and instrumental
in developing.
Well, yeah, that too, and he took it from the notepad, a journal that I had, and we put it in final draft, and we cleaned it up, and he put some touches on it and helped clean it up, and added some things and tweaked some things that helped it flow better, and we put it in final draft, and then once we got it to where we thought we liked it, we entered it into some competitions.
And how did it do? How did you do with those competitions?
Well, I was a little bit shocked, because I had left, I didn't look it over good enough, and there was some stuff that wasn't right, some lines that were left out. And,
oh wow!
And I had sent in the wrong. I got to put in some lines in some places, but it ended up being an official selection of the Surge Film Fest that goes up with it runs with South by Southwest.
Yeah.
It's official selection of Bare Bones, and then it's up for a Remy Award at World Fest. We'll find out the banquet if it's 1 through 4, platinum, gold, whatever.
So how did it do?
How do you mean?
When you entered it into the contest, you said that it was going to go here or there. So what did it do eventually? What did it end up doing?
World Fest hadn't came yet. It'd be in April.
Okay.
And so at the banquet we'll find out. I'm one of the top 4 of the screenplays, and at the banquet they tell you whether you're platinum, gold, silver, bronze.
Okay, that makes better sense now. I understand now.
Yeah. And,
okay.
But the Bare Bones ones, I was, and then the Surge that goes with South by Southwest, I got the emails. I was like, holy cow, man, because we didn't do any rewrites on this thing. I didn't go back and tweak it. I got it. It was my first. We went from the notepad, the journal, to final draft, and that was it. And I thought, I was exhausted. I was spent. I said, that's all I got for this thing. And I sent it in the way it was. And to my surprise, a lot of people loved it, and I was like, holy cow, man. So I was happy about that, you know, and nervous because a lot of my blood and guts are on those, and I said, oh crud, now it's gonna, you know, people are gonna find out.
Right, and now everybody's gonna see that, hey, look, this is Eddie Bauer Jr. Eddie, I really want you to talk to me about the concept of your story, because it is really, really personal. So I need you to tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, you know, I spent 20 years of my life, from the time I was 13 till I was, you know, 33, struggling with drugs and alcohol, and you know, and I never could figure out why, you know, and I mean, I remember being really young and wondering, before any 8 or 9, you know, and wondering what is wrong with me, you know. And, you know, on the outside looking in, I was this nice kid, this, you know, good-looking kid, a nice family, never was abused. You know, we had girlfriends and friends, and you know, when I was 13, I took my first drink of alcohol, and it was just like, I can breathe. You know, I've arrived, and it was my thing, and you know, and then somewhere down the road, you know, it started causing problems and turned on me, and then I guess about 15 years into it, I decided, you know, I need to quit this, and you know, and found that I couldn't. And you know, I mean, if there's such thing as drinking against your will, you know, I was drinking. I mean, I no longer wanted to. It was like the only thing that cured this thing, and finally I got with some people, you know, who had a more spiritual solution to the thing. You know, I was beyond human aid. You know, that my mama couldn't help me, the love of my kids couldn't help me, and I wanted a screenplay to show that. You know, that everybody wants to pin it on something. Your diapers weren't changed right. Or it's because, you know, this happened or that happened. And some people, you know, are born with alcoholism. They've actually scientifically, you know, got the gene. They know that it's genetic. And I needed something bigger than me to overcome it. And someone guided me through the process of that. And that's what the story I want to share it with. It's not a drinking and drugging film about, you know, some trust fund punk going all the way. It's about overcoming inner demons, finding inner peace, you know, being comfortable in someone's own skin. I mean, you know, people on the outside looking in looked at me and they were just going, what's wrong with this knucklehead? You know, he has everything going for him, wife, beautiful kids, you know, he didn't, you know, nickels and dimes and all this and that, and could figure out while I was trying to destroy myself, and I couldn't either. I was right there with him. And, you know, so the concept, you know, I'm trying to, in real simple layman terms, you know, lay out the process I went through. And I ain't saying this is what someone else should do or you should do. I'm just saying this is my experience. This is what I did. This was what got me okay with me, you know, without having to put something in my body to change the way I feel. But I changed the way I felt with a lot of things. Spending too much money, you know, women, you know, lots of things to try to fill that hole that I couldn't, and it never could be filled, and you know, and it took, you know, some people call it Buddha, some people call it Jesus, some people call it God, you know, the universe. Was your own
spirituality, you know, that got you through.
God is your understanding.
Yeah, that's what got you through.
I finally got a relationship with the God of my understanding, and that understood me, and then we could start working on this, and then all of a sudden I felt that I was okay.
That's good.
And you know, and that, you know, I'm a creation of this all-powerful thing, and I don't have to feel that way, you know, and I shouldn't feel that way, and it's I wish I could.
You said genetics earlier, and that kind of piqued my interest. Is there someone in your family, let me ask, is that a personal thing that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, sure, man. You know, it's you know, most people who have alcoholism can trace it back, can find someone in their family, as their uncle, their grandpa. Like it skips generations sometimes, and like it didn't get my brother.
Okay.
You know, my brother could drink a few beers and be normal. I didn't do. My mom and dad didn't drink and smoke around us or anything because they weren't alcoholics. But on my mom's side, you know, many of her siblings are struggling alcoholics and addicts. You know, and you know, the scientists, which I don't know all the scientific jargon, you know, have pinpointed the disease. You know, I mean, the alcoholism, they say 15% of them, you know, of the population has it. And what it is that one, you obsess. It's mental, physical, and spiritual. You know, you obsess about changing the way you feel. The only way you know how to change the way you feel is with alcohol. And you think you're just going to have a few drinks to take the edge off. Okay. And then once it gets in your body, you have an allergic reaction, and your mind stops telling your body what to do, and your body starts telling your mind what to do. And it's then just you're off to fight. The races. It's just a fight right there. Yeah. Then there's no that, and one step further, there is no more fight. It's over. It's like if you were allergic to shrimp, and you ate a shrimp, and your throat swelled up. You can fight it as much as you want, but your throat's going to swell up. Absolutely. And so, you know, that's my experience. That, you know, was alcoholism. So now with this film, where is it going now? Where is it at in production? Because I really want to find out about this film, so personal. Where is it going from here? Well, you know, it's been in the film fest, and we've gotten some recognition there. I've got an Oscar-nominated director attached, George Turrell. Okay. He and I are in the middle of a rewrite. We also got a third gentleman who's rewriting with us. And in a couple of weeks, we're all going to be done with our individual notes, and we're going to meet up in Vegas with George and stay at his house for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, or however long it takes to get the story to finish it. Because it's missing a little something that I just can't put my finger on, but we're going to figure it out. Okay. And you know, we've approached some talent, you know, and I've been, you know, approved to say it, you know. We've talked with Sean Patrick Flannery, and his attorney, Jason Ritter, William McNamara, and William McNamara is bringing on Eric Roberts. Now all these guys, you know, aren't signed attached. They're waiting for offers, but we can't deliver an offer to them until we get our below the line budget. I understand. It sounds like a good collaboration. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun too. It's going to be a blast, I think, you know, and you know, what it did for me personally is amazing, you know, because I've always, you know, been, you know, going on 8 years sober, I've always had this nagging feeling of being exposed or something, you know, because not too many people that know me now know that side of me, you know, I've seen that side of me, and this kind of brought it out, you know. I did a lot of praying and meditating before I decided to release it public. Now, you talked to me a little bit about exposure and being exposed. I want you to explain that to me a little bit more. Okay. Well, you know, nowadays for $13.99, you can go to backgroundchecks.com and find out everything about anybody you want to know. Yes. And then was my name, then Eddie Bauer Jr. Everybody becomes Columbo, and they hear about that. You know, and I'm volunteering at my kids' school, and I'm driving kids around and all this, and I was always afraid someone would do that, pull the background, and then they would see the trouble I've been in and run-ins with the law, even though it's been some years back. But then it'd be aha, you know. What the film did was it brought it out before the aha, and then people came to my side and were like, "That's just an amazing story, you know, where you were and where you came from." And I think if it hadn't came out that way, you know, it would have been different. Someone would have found out and someone else would have exposed it, and I had to go back and explain it. It'd have been different. That makes sense? Yes, it makes perfect sense. I understand that totally. And it was just like, you know, so many people, you know, had come to me. And in fact, even the actors and the people, the director, have a personal experience with, you know, this disease. You know, and some of them were sober around as long as I am. And some of these guys have plenty of projects sent to them. And, you know, and they pick and choose, you know, even though they're not, you know, top of the line, you know, A+. But some people say bankable, A+ bankable actors. They're top-notch actors, and they get lots of projects sent to them, and they pick and choose what they want to do. And you know, and it turned out it spoke to a few of them. And spoke to quite a few of them, because now they want to come on board to tell your story. and you know, and that that makes me proud. It makes me feel good, you know, and to have them call me and say, you know, I struggled with that exact same thing, and this is how I did it, just like what you did, you know. And it's a universal theme that the people who recover from this do it through a spiritual path. I mean, it's not about willpower. I mean, I had willpower to spare. I mean, I was a professional motocross racer. You know, I do Ironman triathlons. You know, I can force myself to run, you know, 48 miles, you know, for training. You know, so I have willpower. Right. This had nothing to do with willpower. It's just like being diabetic doesn't have nothing to do with willpower. No. You can't willpower. You can't pull yourself up from your bootstraps from cancer.
No,
you know,
because it is a disease. And people tend to forget that.
Absolutely. And the alcohol abuser looks a lot like the alcoholic. He's the guy that one day he can just put the plug in a jug and quit. When he says, oh, my wife's going to leave me, or I got DWI, I ain't doing that no more. You know, and they look really similar. You know, so it's confusing for the public. And I understand, you know, because it was confusing to me till I found out about it, you know.
You're creating a very important platform for independent filmmakers, and I really want to hear more about what you're doing here.
Okay, well, it's called IndyShortFilmVilla.com. You know, and the idea is like an iTunes for short films, because, you know, I've been around the Houston area and everybody's making these great short films and have a lot of talent, and once it goes through the film fest circuit, it's over. It's dead. There's nothing to do with it. Right. You know, it's not going to get distribution. A short film don't get distribution. You know, it's over. The work's over. And so I thought, you know, let's create a website where they can upload their short films, you know, direct their friends, family, fans, and others will stumble across it. And it's $1 to watch their film, their 10 or 15 minute film. We know it's probably not even worth $1, but the idea is the community supporting each other. Right. And people supporting the arts, and at least they get to see something. And then there's also, if maybe they know you or they liked your work, they can also donate more. I mean, another $10 or $100, you know, before they check out, you know. And so then the short film industry can then use that money to do more short films, or expand, or do something else. Yes, ma'am. And they can, and it's not you got to raise this much, or we keep 10%. You know, like some of the other people websites that we know of. It's just you know, whatever it raises, and contributions they get. You know, at the end of the month, the accounting firm sends out the checks, and they can announce new projects and make a trailer for it and put it up. And it's nationwide. And there is a, there is a fee to be. You got to be a member as a filmmaker. You got to be a member, and there's a cost for membership and a cost per upload, and it's very nominal. And you know, but that's what keeps it going, because I don't even want to say how much I've already spent getting it to this level, you know. But and it's funny, a lot of people that I've talked to in the Houston community, I've thought about it and said, yeah, we were going to name it this and that, but then I never got past the first phone call. Right. You know, but I decided that, you know, now I see some out there on the web that are abandoned. You know, it says, you know, it's similar to mine. I don't even know the names of them anymore, but it says in beta testing, but you can't, there's no contact info. There's maybe one or two half things on there, you know, and I brought on a social media strategist who's going to help promote the site. Okay. And we have 3 managers, LA managers that are going to be looking at the site. They're not looking for just filmmakers, they're looking for actors, stories, and you know, and other production companies to partner with. And we have 5 talent-owned production companies, you know, that are going to be looking at the website as well. You know, Eddie, you're really embedded right now in the film area here in Houston, especially here in Houston, which is great. And I want to know more about what you're doing here. Well, you know, in November, I was on Without a Box, submitting my film to some screenplay competitions, and I noticed that there was a link for someone to start a screenplay competition, so I decided to inquire about it, and I did. And I talked with a friend of mine in the community, Norman Fitz, and you know, he knows that the last 9 months I have been I'm a stay-at-home dad, so all I've done is make phone calls after phone calls, make connection after connection, and luckily my name's not Fred Smith. Yes. It's Eddie Bauer Jr. A lot of people took my calls that might not have taken my calls if it was something else. So I actually got some pretty good connections and I have submission agreements with managers, with Nick Stein at CAA, with Selena Gomez's company, July Moon, and 4 other talent-owned production companies. And I thought, well, shoot, man, if we have a little screenplay competition, and I get people who know how to judge screenplays, like Norman Fitz, we have Tracy Reiner, who's Penny Marshall's daughter. You know, she's reading for us, and Norman's doing the initial readings. And I thought, you know, I can get the top 10 in front. That's the prize. The top 10 go. I will submit to the production companies that I have submission agreements with, to the managers who rep projects. And try to help them sell them on the spec level, and or produce them. Okay. And you know, I've already drudged that road. You know, I've already did all those endless phone calls and got my foot in the door. You know, and with a few people. And I mean, it's not a money-making proposition. You know, it really isn't. I mean, we're barely break even at the moment. It was just something to do that was cool, and we thought it'd be good for the writer, and we actually have one guy looking at getting produced already. Wow, that's really good. So I think we have close to 100 screenplays now, and we still have till July. And you know, that's how it all just came about. It was like on a Monday I said, you know, I think I'm gonna start a screenplay competition, and by Friday it was up. Okay, are they shorts or are they features? Both. We have 2 categories, features and shorts. Features and shorts, that's perfect. I kept it simple instead of horror and drama and all that. I said features and shorts, and you know, and you know, being new, I don't know how to judge a screenplay, so I got the people around me, you know, that I knew that, you know, Norman Fitz, everybody knows him in this Houston community. Yeah. I just want to thank you so much, Eddie, for stopping by, talking to me, having me over, talking to you. Tune in next week. We'll be interviewing Maxwell Ford with Allegiance Films. He's got a major motion picture deal with Paramount Pictures. You don't want to miss it. This is Nashrox Entertainment. I'm your host, Roxanne, and we'll see you again soon.